What is going on, guys? It's the Inside of the Podcast, and today we're breaking down the New York Rangers' two victories in these last two games. Got the Stadium Series game against the New York Islanders, and the most recent one, the game against the Dallas Stars. So let's get right into it. Getting into the Stadium Series. Islanders taking on the New York Rangers. Big game. Big game at MetLife. Tons of fans, almost 80,000 fans at an NHL game. And, this was the first time both these two teams met outdoors at MetLife Stadium. They played once before, Rangers getting the win in that game where Henrik Lundqvist was in net. That's how long ago it was since these two teams have met outdoors. And the Rangers started off good, I thought. To get the early goal from Erik Gustafsson. It was a weird goal. It may have got deflected, but it beat Ilya Sorokin, not Igor. So it beats Ilya Sorokin, who, you look at the stats at the start. He was red hot. Last five games, he had an under 2 goals against average, like a 935 save percentage. So the big thing was for the New York Rangers to get off to a good start, get one by them, and they did. And we all know that this game ended up having 11 goals scored. Rangers getting the first one, but then the Islanders start to climb back a bit, get a ton of goals out of nowhere, weird bounces. It gets to the point where it's 4-1. Rangers go down 4-1. Laviolette calls a timeout, and us Ranger fans are, looking at ourselves like, what the F happened? What happened with this team all of a sudden that they're getting dominated by everybody? I mean, I didn't know really what was going on after we scored that first goal. Barzal gets a goal. Brock Nelson tied the game up. Bo Horvat had a goal that Igor definitely should have had. I think out of all these goals that Igor let up, that one on Bo Horvat, he is going to want the most. Goes inside the blocker. And a goal that Igor wanted back. We all know that. But, as bad as the stat sheet goes and how he let up 5 goals, he really kept the Rangers in this game. I know it got to the point where it was 4-1 and everybody was telling him, yank him, get quick in. Shesterkin started to, calm down a bit, make some saves that really helped the Rangers overall get the win against the New York Islanders. And this is an Islanders team that is not fun to play against. They know what they are doing, and they play a trap game. They do a lot of good things, but I think with the Islanders is they got a little too comfortable with the lead. They started taking penalties, and that's what really costed them this game. Scott Mayfield taking a few penalties, and the Rangers go 3 for 5. Rangers go 3 for 5 on the power play, which is huge. And when this power play is cooking, it's easily a top power play in this league. And, the one thing that I do love the Rangers for, but also hate, is how reliant they are on the power play. This is a team that heavily relies on their power play. And we look at that New Jersey series back last year, they were cooking on the power play, scoring goals after goals. And then when they weren't getting the calls that they wanted, things kind of slid away in that series where they couldn't get goals because they couldn't rely on the power play. But I think for the Rangers to get some 5-on-5 goals against the Islanders is huge. Three of their goals were on the power play, so half their goals were. But there were some gritty goals. That Trocheck goal, the deflection and the one in front on Sorokin. And then there were just some bad defensive goals that we let up. I don't really blame Igor for every single one of them. But there's definitely some that you look at and say, okay, maybe he could have had one or two more, back. But overall, I think this was a huge win for the New York Rangers. I think it was definitely their best win of the season. Down 4-1, and things started to, there was a fight. There was a Rempe fight against Matt Martin. You gotta love that. The young kid sticking up for the team, going against Matt Martin. But yeah, I was proud with Rempe's debut. I didn't think there was really much. Like he wasn't gonna, go out and score a goal or something. He's just a big guy who's gonna cause havoc, and he's gonna protect his team. And he did a pretty good job of that, in my opinion. And if you're Barclay Goodrow, you could really do whatever the hell you want on the ice because you have two 6'7" bodies skating around you, protecting you. And when they're on skates, they're more like 7-foot monsters. And I don't know if how long the Rangers are going to continue this line, but if it works well, I mean, you could potentially see this as a fourth line not penalty kill, fourth line playoff line where they just cause havoc, dumping the puck in, hitting guys, fighting guys, protecting their goaltender, whatever it is. Expect the Rangers to do that. Keep these three guys together if they do work out well. But I am very proud of this team of coming back and getting the win because it's a huge win just the way they came back, right? They were drawing dead after kind of the Barzal goal, the deflection in front. But I was really proud of how this team responded because that is the one thing that I look into this team is when they lose a lead, how do they get back? And I think they did a pretty good job with that. And that's the big thing I have with this team is when it comes playoff time, when it comes crunch time, how is this team going to respond if they go down early against anybody who they play, whether it's New Jersey, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Boston, anybody, the Carolina Hurricanes, whoever. If they're down 3-1, 2-1, what is Laviolette going to cook up? And I think he did a really good job at cooking something up to keep them in this game. He changed up some of the lines. He's quite good at that. When he doesn't purposely like to change lines because he wants the chemistry and everything like that. But, really, I'm just happy how this team responded. I know I keep saying that, but it's good to beat the New York Islanders. It's good to beat your rivals. And in that way, it wasn't the prettiest game. It was a defensive collapse for both teams. Both teams didn't play great defensively. And it's kind of a game where the coach looks at it and says, yeah, we didn't play our best game defensively, but we responded well after being in a big, big hole. A 4-1 lead, outdoors. I mean, it just, I don't know how much of the Rempe fight really helped them or whatever it was, but it was a good win for that game. Just proud with how they responded. And back going with Igor Shesterkin, he has an amazing start tonight, the day I'm recording this video, which is on a Wednesday night. He gets a 1-goal allowed performance against a solid Dallas Stars team, who's a pretty good road team, and he made some spectacular saves. Of course, the Rangers getting the win tonight, getting 3 goals from their team: a Trocheck empty netter, a Kaapo Kakko goal, and an Adam Fox goal. So, kind of 2 players on that score sheet that you don't really see score goals. Adam Fox, he's more of a passer. He doesn't really score goals, but every once in a while he has a snipe. Kaapo Kakko having an amazing goal against Scott Wedgwood over the blocker. And it's good to see Kakko produce because that's the one thing that we ask from him is to produce at a good level, at an NHL level where we can say, okay, we can hold on to this guy. We know we're not going to deal him at the deadline and find a right wing for the first line. Even though there's a bunch of guys that the Rangers can go and get. I'll tell you in a minute who my guys are that they can potentially target. But getting back to Kaapo Kakko, I've always said him and Lafreniere have all the sources and kind of, they kind of have the team that they can be better and show that they're a solid piece of this team where they can play maybe a top 6 role or just get more minutes. We know with all these coaching staffs that Lafreniere has had to deal with Kakko, David Quinn experiment didn't work, the Gerard Gallant experiment didn't work, but now I feel like this is the coaching staff that Lafreniere looks outstanding. He looks faster. He looks more confident with the puck. Kaapo Kakko starting to put up some points. He's got 5 points in the last 7 games. So it's a good look for those two young guys. And at the start of the season, I said the way that this Rangers team is going to operate and play better hockey and win maybe 3-4 more games than maybe they're projected is because of how Lafreniere and Kakko play. If they can play like they're playing right now and even if a step further, they can go on a run in the playoffs, and it makes Joey's job a lot easier, not trying to find a trade partner for either of these guys. And if Kakko keeps producing, you'll probably see Kakko back in the blue jersey for the New York Rangers for a lot longer because he showed that to Chris Drury. I can play. I can play for the New York Rangers. Don't trade me. I can do this. And that third line's been cooking. That third line's been amazing. Johnny B, Kaapo Kakko, Will Cooley, a little mix of grit, some toughness, some speed, and some hands, all in a one line. And it's been one of the better lines for this Rangers team. I'd obviously say the best line on this team is the line with Artemi Panarin, Lafreniere, and Trocheck. But don't discredit the third line. They've been outstanding for this team. And it's huge when you have 4 lines rolling in the playoffs. I can't stress this enough. You look at that Tampa Bay team back a few seasons ago. The reason why they won their Stanley Cups is because they have 4 lines that can operate and play really good hockey. If the Rangers can get that, whether it's trading for another player at the deadline or just finding finding lines that work even better, but I don't expect the lines to change at all. I'm just saying if there's another option that they can go to when Filipino does eventually return, whether that's the playoffs, late playoffs, whether Blake Wheeler ends up returning after his leg injury. Obviously, both of those guys are shut down for the regular season. But if the Rangers make a deep push, maybe in a perfect world, you see Blake Wheeler back or Filipino. Of course, Blake Wheeler suffering that tough injury. It was a leg injury. He fell awkwardly. So praying for Blake Wheeler to get better. With Filipino, there's just so much concern and sadness because you want Filipino to be on the ice. You've seen what he did. He had a 20-goal season. He was amazing in the playoffs a few seasons ago. And you want him to play, just play, right? You want him to play, and because he looked so good at the start of the season. And, his head injuries have been a main concern because we know what happened to Nolan Patrick a few seasons ago, or really seasons ago. Yeah, seasons ago, of what happened to him. Bunch of injuries caused him to really end his career and kind of retire. And now we don't want that to happen to not Lafreniere. We don't want that to happen to Filipino or anybody. But it's been a better start to this month. This team was struggling back a few weeks ago, before the All-Star break. Igor Shesterkin was struggling. We couldn't really find a way to win games. The power play looked bad. I think they were like 2 for 21, something like that. And they just kept working, right? This team just kept working, and they did a really solid job. I felt they did a really solid job at scoring now and playing better defense. But yeah, the Rempe debut was awesome. I wasn't really shocked he was going to fight. I feel like that's one of the main topics I was kind of, wondering is Edstrom or Rempe going to fight tonight against Matt Martin, Cal Clutterbuck, one of those four guys. And to do it in front of 79,000 fans just makes it even more entertaining. And it made it more fun for the players. I love the Stadium Series, any sort of outdoor game. I think the NHL does a really good job with that. But I think I think they got to do it more often. I think definitely 2 to 3 games outdoors. Fans love it. They're having their next one in Ohio, so the Columbus Blue Jackets finally get a stint in that. And I feel bad for the Blue Jackets, man. I feel like they shouldn't be this far behind in the rebuild. They have some pieces, but they don't put two and two together. They fire their GM, and we don't know what's going to go on over there. But kind of getting back to the New York Rangers and that Dallas Stars game, Igor Shesterkin was the main topic. This guy was making saves, made 35 plus saves. He was locked in, and that's the Igor Shesterkin that we expect day in and day out. Just makes things so much easier when he can just make that big save, get a confidence booster, and just keep playing good hockey. If Igor Shesterkin can play like this night in and night out, it makes the Rangers' chances going for the Stanley Cup even higher. I knew he was going to eventually get out of this little slump, but this team needed this. They needed Igor to step up. I know a lot of Ranger fans were concerned with his play. I wasn't necessarily concerned. It was more of me waiting until he gets back to his normal form, because that's the main thing. If you could return to your normal form and be one of the best goalies in the NHL, it helps the Rangers significantly. Because everybody knows in the NHL how good Igor Shesterkin is when he's on his game. Because the guy is good. The guy is really good. He's really good at handling the puck. He's really good on the glove side. But his last 5 games, he's 4-1 with a 2.65 goals against average, 920 save percentage, 4 straight wins for the former Vezina Trophy winner. Just really good stuff. That's what we like to see out of Igor Shesterkin. And now another guy who's starting to kind of come alive is Mika Zibanejad. This is a guy that we need to start scoring more often. We know Panarin's going to score goals. We know Chris Kreider's going to score the goals. But Mika Zibanejad has 18 on the year. Panarin has way more than that. Kreider's approaching 30. He's on pace for, I believe, 42 goals this season. So another 40-plus goal season for Chris Kreider if everything goes to plan. But I just need to see more goals out of Mika Zibanejad. It's such a great feeling seeing that one-timer work, scoring goals for the New York Rangers on the power play at 5-on-5. You name it. But, yeah, 4 straight wins for Igor Shesterkin. Zibanejad with that clutch goal. And I mean clutch goal for the New York Rangers on Ilya Sorokin. It just sneaks by. And that was, I believe, to tie the game. And then, of course, Artemi Panarin ended it like that in the Stadium Series off a weird goal. Out of all the goals, that's the one that the Rangers scored just 10 seconds in. Not complaining, though. Obviously, the refs called it a good goal. It was a good goal. But, yeah, I mean, getting into other people. The Rangers are 7-0 in their last 7. They just won again. So, I mean, they're 8 now. Kakko's got 5 points in the last 7 games. And that's what we need out of him. Just constant production. That line seems to be a good fit for him. Lafreniere is playing amazing with Artemi Panarin. Things are good for the New York Rangers, and I'm really excited to see kind of how the rest of the season unfolds. And if they can play good enough to win games and beat good teams, look out in the playoffs. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this New York Rangers pod. Of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and turn that notification bell. We are on the road to 100 subscribers, just 8 away now. Tell your friends about this pod, tell your family, you name it. But that's going to do it for this Rangers pod. Of course, Rangers defeat the New York Islanders in overtime 6-5, and the Rangers also defeat the Dallas Stars 3-1. But that's going to do it, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.